And we're back, everybody. We're going to be talking about the album I brought today, which is Loveless by My Bloody Valentine. And I guess the theme of this episode is two British albums that kind of sparked their own little subgenres, right? I guess.
I'd say so. I don't know that much about shoegaze. I'm not sure if shoegaze is an American thing. Is it like strictly British?
I mean, well, My Bloody Valentine is Irish. I think it
Yes.
started British, but I feel like Loveless is an album that evolved through time. It didn't really sell very well when it came
Hmm.
out, but I think eventually Shoegaze reached the whole world. I've heard everybody likes Shoegaze. I think anybody who's into alternative rock, indie rock has heard Loveless or a Shoegaze album at this point.
Well, I think the genre is starting to become this thing where you like it can be anything you want. So to say you like shoegaze, like yeah, sure. Like it's like are we talking like My Bloody Valentine shoegaze or Riot shoegaze or Sweet Trip shoegaze or maybe even the Benz is the Benz shoegazy is there's like atmospheric sludge metal. Is that shoegazy? You know, they're using
Yeah.
distortion in this way that creates really cool texture, but this music is dark. It doesn't have pop hooks. Is it shoegaze? You know?
Yeah, so I guess we could start there. What would definitively make something shoegaze versus something like Cocteau Twins, or as you said, atmospheric sludge metal, or Sweet Trip? What makes what makes a shoegaze album a shoegaze album?
I think it's that kind. For me personally, I don't think that. I think atmospheric sludge metal is its own thing. I've listened to a lot of people that call that and other albums adjacent to that post metal, and um, which I think is a better term. It's like post rock, but for metal, as
Yeah,
opposed to what shoegaze is, which is it's poppy, it's hooky, it's short, it's sweet, it's usually like um pretty simple in its lyrics, um and but then you have those elements, and then you contrast it with a shit ton of noise, um
yeah,
and not just like any noise. It's like an almost overwhelming amount of noise, but it sounds beautiful. It sounds bright. It sounds like beautiful the way like a turbulent ocean is.
yeah, yeah,
And I think like that really marks it. And I think that this record definitely represents that. And this is why everyone in the world, it doesn't matter what their opinion of shoegaze is, they'll point to Loveless and be like, "This is shoegaze."
this is
Like I
it.
don't care what anyone it. If there's no other shoegaze records, it's this one.
Yeah, I do think it's a combination of the pop melodies. I think are integral
Yeah,
to making shoegaze to the point where, and then also the focus on the noise being from guitars, and this lets it like oppose itself from dream pop or like Cocteau Twins,
okay,
and
I
like
see.
Disintegration by The Cure. It's still very the noise is from the it's still very guitar heavy.
It's still very guitar heavy, but I think that argument starts falling away when you consider newer shoegaze acts that have
Yeah,
a whole lot of synths, that have a
and
lot
our
of
poppy.
post production. Yeah, and like okay, for me, like one that comes up over and over again, just because it is in my top five of all time, the Velocity Design Comfort is
Yeah,
Velocity Design Comfort, a shoegaze record. There's guitars on it, but that's not where most of the noise is coming from. It's
yeah,
really poppy, but it's also glitchy as fuck. It's got parts of it that are definitely not accessible to most people.
yeah. It's the ambient parts, but that's where
It,
like because you know what? Because Sweet Trip is it's shoegazy, but it's also electronic. So there's
yeah.
like some Apex Twin in there, and
So
not all the noise is guitar heavy, but some of it is.
yeah. So if anything, it's more like whatever the fuck Aphex Twin is doing is like if Aphex Twin just listened to Loveless for 5 years, what would he come up with?
Well, his brain would be turned into like into like rainbow mush at the end of that.
Yeah, actually.
But anyways, let's get started. So, Loveless, a beloved album, used to be one of my favorite albums of all time. Going into this, I didn't want to talk too much about the history of it, but I kind of got started diving into it. I was like, "Whoa, this band has a lot of like lore to it." And
Yeah.
I want to just do like a brief. Let's just get it down. How did they come to making Loveless? So, in 1983, Kevin Shields, the main guitarist, and the drummer. I can't pronounce his name because it's like a Irish Celtic. It's like Colm O'Coshog, or I don't know. But the drummer
Okay.
come together. They make My Bloody Valentine. And at first, My Bloody Valentine didn't really have an identity. They were kind of coming from the post punk scene at
Mhm.
the time, and they really liked a lot of bands like the Birthday Party and Jesus and the Mary Chain. But at the time, Kevin Shields wasn't very happy with the direction they were going with. They felt, he said it himself, they felt like a bad Jesus and the Mary Chain knockoff.
Mhm.
And eventually they would, get Debbie Gorge, who's the bassist, and Belinda Butcher, who is the vocalist slash second guitarist. And they were so like disenfranchised with their own sound that
Okay.
they were just like they had a big string of of bad shows where they just felt like they weren't really doing anything unique. So they said, "Screw it, we're gonna play this next show, and we're gonna play as loud as humanly possible." And they did that. They played so loud it was described as being stuck in a wind tunnel. And the manager or the owner of Creative Records signed them that night. He heard them and he thought that was finally what separated them, was just playing ridiculously loud. And that's what they did.
I love the simplicity of
No, no,
that.
oh no, Lewis, it gets even crazier. It gets even crazier. So, so they get signed. They start. Oh, sorry. They start working on their first album, Isn't Anything, and they realize like playing loud is like that's awesome. So they start playing extremely loud in every show, so loud that they were causing structural damage to venues. I'm not even joking. The roofs were literally falling apart with how loud the amplifiers were like shaking everything, essentially. And there's even a
Science has
story
gone too far.
where
Yeah.
there's a story where they were playing at a venue extremely loud, and next
Mhm.
door there was a butcher shop, and they were playing so loud they were literally rattling the next door butcher shop so intensely that the butcher comes to the show with his butcher's knife, and he starts running in there trying to find the audio cords to like just cut the music, and he was like trying to sever the cords to the point where he gets into like a fight with Alan McGee, who I believe his name is Alan McGee, who is the guy who runs Creative Records. They're basically their manager at this point. And Alan McGee gets arrested at that night because they were playing so loud that they were a public nuisance. So he got arrested that night for My Bloody Valentine's sins.
Yes.
So from that point, that's where they decided to separate themselves and come up with their own sound. I wanted to just let's get into this. What do you think are My Bloody Valentine's major influences?
My vacuum cleaner. Um,
Everyone
no.
memes this album for the vacuum.
Yeah.
To the point
It's
where I was gonna open this episode with my vacuum and just say, "This is what we're talking about."
Dude, actually that would have been fantastic, but no, no, but for real, Stone Roses for sure. Um, Cocteau Twins for sure. Velvet Underground for sure. Um, was it? There's a, there's a big one I'm missing. Um, The Cure, right?
The Cure, yes, post punk. Well, they started as a post punk band, so
The Smiths.
I didn't hear that one too much, but I'm sure it's there.
I'm just
But
thinking like what would an Irish kid listen to in the '80s? And there's this wide collection of like post punk and new wave that's like coming out of there. Jangle Pop too. Oh, REM.
REM, a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. So let me tell you. All
Okay.
right, because I think I heard this fact and I thought it was like, damn, that really summarizes Loveless. And one of the major influences for Kevin Shields was 60s pop, like the Beatles, obviously. But specifically, he had this moment when he was a kid where he heard a live album of the Beatles, but in this live album, the crowd was so loud that the cheering of the crowd was so loud that it drowned out the Beatles in their recording.
Yeah.
And he always loved the emotional physicality of that sound of the crowd cheering out the band, and he always wanted to like recreate that in his music.
Yeah.
And I heard and I was like, holy, that is literally what Loveless is. It's pop songs with just being drowned out
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
emotional physicality. And it's crazy that that's like he literally like he found that, he heard that, and he was obsessed with that live album he heard as a kid.
That might be a reason why out of a bunch of records, even actually especially shoegaze records, this record I think it's supernatural to blast like super loud with the window sound and have the wind interact with the noise that's going on. And
You know
it,
that's by design.
dude, oh my god, of course it's by
Yeah.
design.
Kevin Shields said he wanted the album to work on multiple levels. He wanted it to be, if you played it low, it was very harmonic. It was sweet. He wanted it to sound sweet when you played it low.
Yeah,
And if you played it high, he said he wanted it to be a little scary. A little scary if you play it loud.
it does have its well, maybe because
Maybe not scary, but overwhelming. It might be the right
overwhelming
word.
for sure, but I no, I was gonna say is like this might be a testament to how fucked my music taste is. But I hear microtonals. I hear like this harmony like it's so good. Like it's not scary to me, it's like that's tasteful.
Average Mingus enjoyer. But
Average sunrise enjoyer would just be like, that wasn't a note, but it was so good.
that was something.
That wasn't a note, but you know what? It hit.
And you know, when I heard that fact that he wanted it to work on multiple levels, I realized that that is sort of a core theme of all quote unquote wall of sound kind of music. Because then I thought about like another album, Pet Sounds. I would
Okay.
consider like a wall of sound album, and that album too. If you listen to it low, it's just really sweet pop melodies and whatnot. But if you listen to it high, it's like very grandiose. It's kind of like it's epic in some parts of it,
hmm
and it's
I,
really like the emotional physicality. I'm going to say that word a million times. Like hits you when you play a high.
that this album could be renamed emotional uh physicality.
Yeah,
Yeah, emotional physicality.
that is the best two words to describe Loveless right there.
Yeah. And
But some other influences. Oh wait, go ahead.
no, go no, you go for you go. I was gonna ask
Some
what
other
are your
influences.
influences.
Oh, okay. So other ones was actually hip hop, but old school hip hop. And that's
Okay.
where a lot of the groove of this album, because this album is groovy.
Yeah.
Debbie Gorge on the bass lines on this album are fire, especially in the last song. Soon has one of my favorite bass lines ever. I love
Okay.
it.
I can hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little story where Kevin Shields says when he was young, he liked to listen to music through a boombox, and he liked to just have a table with the boombox and just sit in front of it like that. And that's how he his favorite way to listen to music when he was young.
The boombox change of sound. I've never.
He's like a big audiophile, so he really is a big believer. And I know we've talked about this where some albums are car albums, headphone albums, or like
Yeah.
stereo albums, right? And
hmm
he's a big believer in that it's train of thought. And he liked the way that the boombox surrounds you, but also loses its fidelity at certain frequencies because you know it's like a center point of where the sound's coming from, as opposed to
hmm
headphones where it's like engulfing you.
hmm
He likes that it's imperfect, but it has its characteristics to it.
hmm
It's really it's the opinion of someone who would make this album, you know?
This does seem like the type of guy that really likes his detail. It's something I've noticed. So when I blasted this, and I blasted it for the first time, I've listened to it quite a few times. I've listened to it, this album, in these last few years at least 30, 40 times, right?
Yeah.
And because it's like every like maybe like once a month for like the past 10 years. So yeah. And but this time when I listened to it at the volume that I guess would be more appropriate, loud as fuck in the car. Um, what I noticed, I thought what was gonna happen is what happens with most records, where it's like there's a certain point where like I don't get any more detail. I'm hearing all of the elements,
Yeah.
but it's like no, I keep on turning it up. There's little synth parts that you
Yeah.
could not hear unless you're like really listening for it while blasting it, like while listening to it at incredibly overwhelming volumes. And
Yeah.
it's almost like I zoom in on a picture, expect on a painting, expecting to find like brushstrokes. After a while, I just know it's more and more detailed. Right, this guy got every blade of grass in there. What the fuck?
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
really, really impressive on it. That is why it took 2 years to be made.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole myth about how it almost bankrupted the record label, and I do want to get into that. Some of the myths about the creation of Loveless.
Mm-hmm.
So there, it was said that it cost like $250,000 to be made and almost bankrupted the record label. But the truth is that it did not bankrupt the record label. From what I researched, the record label just did not have money to begin with at all. Pretty much, they had
Yeah.
like lost their distributor, and they basically gave My Bloody Valentine like nothing to work with. They were actually at the time the band was virtually homeless at this point because they got no money to like live off of as they made the record. And Kevin Shields at this point was isn't anything their first album was a bit like rushed by the record label. They were really pushing them to go, you know, because it was their first album. Let's get you out there. Let's make your sound. Let's see what people have. Let's show the people what you have to offer. So Is It Anything was a little rushed,
Mm-hmm.
and you can kind of hear it. Have you heard Is It Anything, the first album, in a bit?
Isn't anything? Yes. I'm surprised you mentioned that's an album on Apple Music. It's an EP. How many songs is it? Isn't anything?
Uh, It's like normal album length, isn't it? It's like 40 minutes. It's a little shorter.
Hold up. Let me search this up. Because I listened to My Bloody Valentine demos when
Yeah.
not recently, but when I was going through my shoegaze phase. Oh, isn't anything? Yeah, no, that's an album.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking about the Tremolo EP.
Yes. Yes. Well, I'll get into that. But Is It
Okay,
Anything does sound like it feels like it has the potential, but it does sound like it's just not quite as fleshed as Loveless is. But there's some songs on it where the melodies are really good on Anything. Soft as Snow is a
Mhm.
very really beautiful song. It's just lacking like the depth as what we were saying before, where like I can listen to it and hear things
Yeah.
that I never heard
Well,
before over and over and over again.
yeah, but the hooks don't go away. I presume, right?
Hmm?
Kevin, Kevin, or whoever's writing the hooks, like they're doing a fantastic job regardless.
Yeah. So, okay. They didn't bankrupt Creation, but they just had no money, and the band was virtually homeless as they were making the album. They were living in the studio essentially, or they were trying to. They would sleep in the studio, and some points, Belinda Butcher, who's the female singer on the album, they would always record her lyrics. They would wake her up at 7 in the morning, and then just get her on the mic and make her record, sing the lyrics. So she
Yeah,
always said that she was super sleepy throughout the whole point of Loveless, and that definitely adds to her vocals in this
I can
album.
hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, and also a lot of people say that like Kevin Shields was like unproductive and he took forever to record things, and that is true. to an extent. There's a notable story where "To Hear Knows When," that song on the album, has like a little tambourine in it, right?
Yeah.
And the tambourine took a week to record. And the
You're
reason why
telling
is
me you're
because
telling me for a week it's only sessions with tambourines?
yes, and the tambourine took a week to record because Kevin Shields wanted the right tambourine, so they had to try out like a bunch of different tambourines. Then he wanted the right microphone to record the tambourine. And so there's like a bunch of different microphones I got to try out. Then he wanted the right person who had the nicest feel with the tambourine. So
Okay.
then they got a bunch of different people to try it out, try out playing the tambourine, and it's literally like the most simple tambourine beat ever.
Yeah, just
Exactly.
like
But he's so specific on what what he wants the feel to be. Very often, I was looking at interviews of the audio engineers because there was a whole plethora of audio engineers who worked on this album. Kevin Shields kept rotating through them. One of the audio engineers was actually one of the ones who worked on the Velvet Underground and Nico. Guy Fixon, I believe his name is.
oh, nice.
Which to me, I feel like that's a perfect fit if you
That's
want to
it.
deal
That
with
is a
like,
perfect fit. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, if you want to deal with like this like very exact tone, making something super unique, kind of weird recording environment going on. That's a perfect fit.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that was a lot of the album was that, but it wasn't entirely unproductive. Throughout this time, the 2 years, they did release two EPs intermittently. They released Glider and Tremolo.
Hmm.
So it wasn't just like he was going crazy and took 2 years to make the album. He's just, I feel like a big reason why this album took a long time to be made was because it wasn't so much all of the technical recording stuff. There was a lot of that, but from what I heard, a lot of the studio time was spent them hanging around and talking and like brainstorming. And it's because Kevin Shields didn't like to be rushed. He wanted the melodies to come to him, and he was willing to. He didn't care. He will take the time he wants to make it the exact melodies. And I think that is why this album is phenomenal. It's really just because the melody writing is amazing.
Hmm. Melody
It's
writing
just,
for sure.
it's some of the best I think I've ever heard. It's I think it's what separates good and bad shoegaze. Because Lewis, would you still consider this the best shoegaze album?
Ooh. The only thing I can think of that can possibly compete is Dynamo by Soda Stereo.
Yeah.
I, I do eventually want to talk about it here, either
Yeah.
from another Soda Stereo album or whatnot. But that I can only say not because, but that I can only say because once again the melodies. For me, shoegaze
Melodies.
is all about the melodies and the drums. The guitars add quite a bit, of course, right? This is shoegaze we're talking about. But if it's nothing but noise, what hooks someone into your world of noise is the melody. What drives your world of noise is the drums. If those
Yeah.
things are anything less than perfect, it falls flat. It just feels like you're listening to a bad recording of a good song.
It's
You know?
boring. I think
It's
that's the
boring.
biggest issue with like shoegaze that came after this was that if you don't get the melodies right, it's just boring. It's just
There's no
noise.
propulsion, dude. There's no there's like this album gets me hype as fuck. The vast majority of shoegaze albums I've listened to make me sleepy. That's not what I want to
Yeah,
feel
yeah, and
when I put
I
on
really
rock
do feel like
music.
I think people get too distracted when either writing shoegaze or talking about shoegaze with the noise part of it. Really think the melody pop part of it is the most important part, and I think Kevin
Mm.
Shields realized that too, and that's why he took a lot of time just letting the songs bake, letting them come to him. because you can't really like brute force a melody.
Hmm. Oh,
You know, it's yeah, it's creative. I mean, do you think
there's
you
like
can?
there's two schools of thought, in my opinion, which is you wait for inspiration to strike, and as you put it, Kevin Shields like just waiting until he's like, I need a pen and paper type moment,
Yeah.
or you are going about it like the Beatles, where you write like 10 songs a day, and you keep the best.
Yeah.
You keep the best one. You do that for a week, and then you keep the two best from that week, and then you until you get a record.
Then you get the White Album.
You-
Yeah.
well, no,
Yeah.
the White Album is what happens when like when that process of like is like we have all these songs, we have to get rid of some, but no one wants to get rid of theirs.
All right, there you go. Here's a 40-song album.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
because before it was just Paul and John just being like, it's like between those two is like John, I think this sucks. We're taking it out, and John would be okay because guess what? All the other songs are written by him, so it's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um. Now my question is like, how did the band feel about this process?
A lot of them trusted Kevin, but
Okay.
a lot of them got really fucking tired of it. I mean, they were, like I said, virtually homeless, living in the studio, and a lot of them knew that they were on to something.
Mhm.
They were making something very unique, and but it was rough. I mean, they were living in the
Oh yeah,
studio.
I can
They were
imagine.
waking up Belinda. At the time, Kevin Shields and Belinda Butcher were dating, and
Hmm.
their relationship was like falling apart because of the creation of this album.
Yeah.
And they both wrote the lyrics for this album, and that kind of adds. I think. Well, I wanted to go in like, why is it called Loveless?
Okay.
And I feel like the reasoning why is because you go into music with so much love, but a lot of the circumstances of this album creation was like love lost. Like they get a record label. They finally get they finally think they can make the music, but they have no money.
Hmm.
So much they had no money to the point where the studios were actually withholding their tapes because the record label couldn't pay the studio. So they were holding the tapes from them. Two,
Really?
yeah.
Damn.
So that's also what made it take longer.
Okay.
Two, Belinda Butcher's and Kevin Shields' relationship was falling apart at the time, which probably added to the feeling of love loss, you know.
Hmm.
And a lot of the bands, you know, a lot of the band members are probably losing like the drive to make the music. He can feel it wear down on them. I mean, the drummer had like a nervous breakdown one day about the album's recording because of Kevin Shields very like particular what he wanted out of the drums.
Hmm.
So it was definitely a stressful album make 2 years of this album.
I always thought of Loveless as so for me, like okay, not knowing this, right? Not knowing this information, come from the outside in with just the lyrics to guide me. I always thought of it as a command. So a lot of this album's lyrics feel like very muted,
Hmm.
while the instrument is like punching right through. The noise is punching through. You get this emotional physicality, and it for me that experience kind of reflects like overthinking emotional interactions, where it's like I can't show like when I was a kid and I had a crush, I can't let that crush know I have a crush. I gotta act cool. Even though inside my body I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna die if I say something stupid right
Yeah,
now.
your feelings are punching through, you know, the
Yeah, and it's
reality.
like, and you're like holding it in, and it's like you're trying to tell yourself, love less, love less, love less, feel less. Don't like so you don't get
Yeah.
overwhelmed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that lets me go into something else I want to talk about this album. In my research, I like to read like rate your music reviews just to see like I don't know,
Oh, that's
inspiration of things to
good.
talk
I
about.
should do that. I
Yeah,
never
and
do that. Yeah.
I have never seen an album interpreted in so many different poetic ways than Loveless. In fact, me and my girlfriend, we were listening to the album in the car, and we sat down and we were we were like trying to interpret what each song was, almost as if you were looking at clouds in the sky and trying to like make figures out of them.
Yeah.
Like my girl just kept saying about how "To Hear Knows When" sounds like a mother cooing its baby and whatnot. And there's like,
Ah,
and I was
yes.
like, and I was like, only "Shallow" is supposed to represent like you going to a show and it's like banging and it's hard, and then the rest of the album is you dreaming that night until the last song, "Soon," which is you waking up. It has a very morning after feel
It
to it.
does.
It does, but then I went on Rate Your Music. I was like, everybody has their own vision, and they write it so poetically too about what the album feels to them that
Yeah.
I actually want to go through and read some of these. Loveless is music like the inside of a lava lamp, a bright, colorful substance that seems to be floating around effortlessly, all the time combining and separating to create new forms and shapes, yet barely ever something that can be grasped or even defined. It is also similarly fascinating to behold, hypnotic even.
I see that. I definitely see that.
You can
I
see
see.
that too.
There's the what's the song with the tambourine?
To Hear Knows When.
To Hear Knows When. I definitely feel that for sure.
Yeah, I feel like To Hear Knows When is like the filter of the album, where if you start listening to it and you're not rocking with it, To Hear Knows When is like when you if you rock with it, you keep going. If you don't rock with it, you leave at that song.
Yeah, but it even got like this like sort of like club feel to it, like this like baggy Manchester sound, sort of like Screamadelia. Do you know Screamadelia?
No, no.
It's like it's a psychedelic house album. The Manchester sound is really interesting. I sometimes hear glimpses of it here, and the baggy Manchester sound is sort of this thing that happened where you have people who are really interested in new wave, shoegaze, and electronic music trying to combine, and dream pop trying to combine it. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they came before or after though.
Is
Um,
isn't is this is the this, God, what is it called? The Stone Roses Manchester Sound?
Technically, right? Why? Because they have that one track where it's played backwards. They can't play it live. It's technically an electronic song,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not just that. They wrote it with the express intent that it will be remixed by club DJs, and
Yeah.
that's also something that yeah. So Baggy, right, is Stone Roses, and then there's another yeah. But this is like I guess that's like hmm, both something I need to research. Yeah, this is same year. Primal Scream, Screamadelia. Highly recommend if anyone likes this record and likes the more dancey parts of this record. Um, way less way less
Yeah.
shoegaze, right? Way less noise, much more like trippy. Um, actually, I wanted to ask because you mentioned the drummer, but my understanding was that the all of the drums on this record were electronic.
Um, I don't think so. Were they? I mean, the thing with this album is that it's like the Frankenstein's monster at this point. I don't really know
Yeah,
what is what because some of the guitar parts aren't even like guitar. It's like he played guitar parts, he meshed like 20 of them together, then he programmed them on a keyboard and played them on a keyboard.
yeah. And then there's
It's,
stuff
and
that's like I could hear that with like certain samples that sound like a guitar and bass at the same like layers of guitar and bass, and I can
yeah,
notice because like the bass is still playing, but then you have like this like added oomph that comes in for only certain chords,
yeah,
and it's extremely prominent when you blast this in the car. There's parts I like that it's not even like song part, but literally the chords change how treble heavy or how bass heavy the song is, and the melody goes with it too, which I think was incredible. Like
Yeah.
blew my mind. Um, there's also this effect that I was thinking of. This is one of the other bajillion interpretations I had of this record.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to sing along to it. I don't know any of the lyrics, right? And I'm kind of like mouthing it, right? I'm kind of like trying to hit the vowels. Like I'm more focused
Hmm.
on trying to hit the emotionality and the pitches rather than the actual words. And
Yeah.
I
Because
stopped there and I'm like, yo, if someone recorded me, I'd sound like a newborn baby trying to form words. Like I'm trying to
yeah.
like I'm like copying the adults.
Yeah.
And like there's a
Well,
few
because
words I'm
the
like,
only thing
ah,
that comes out are like, because out of the whole wall of sound, what comes out are the vowels and like the wisp of the
yeah.
words. It's
And
very
yet
like spiritually, but not like the transcendental spiritually. I mean, like ghost spiritually.
yeah. And also like I it's so I can hear only the vowels and the attack. The attack being like how the first consonant hits.
Yeah.
Also the way the first consonant hits on all of the tracks matches perfectly with how the first guitar hits on all of the tracks. Um, like um, like ta, uh, hold up, let me bring up an example because it. I was reading the lyrics just now and I realized that I was like, oh my god, holy shit. Uh,
Yeah, but it's also kind of crazy that we could probably do this forever on little parts of this album that are crazy.
nah, dude,
And
like
it's
for
like a
real.
mystery. It's a mystery because I don't really even know what is what and who is who at the on this album at most points.
Yeah, and also from what I understand from my original research, like back when I first heard this record, was that a lot of these lyrics are written post. So they recorded lyrics really early on in the recording
Yeah.
process, put them to the side, record everything. Now the album's made, it's put together, and now they're like, wait, what the hell were the lyrics?
Yeah. No, from what I've heard, there were multiple times where they scrapped the lyrics and then rewrote them.
Yeah, so it's like it's
And
not even
yeah.
like so it's all over the place. And what we're reading now, like when I go on like the Genius, right, uh, is the recreation of it of them listening back to them. Like I remember writing this.
Yeah. And remember, all the lyrics are sung from a lady who woke up in 7 in the morning and just was like, "Yep, you're gonna sing."
She didn't know what the lyrics were. Yeah. But yeah, no. We could go on forever, and there's a bajillion interpretations to this album.
But I think I'm gonna say mine. I believe that this album is the truest and ultimate love album. And the reason why is because it's not about the narrative of love. It's about the concept of what love truly is, which is love is a rush of endorphins hitting your brain and overwhelming your senses. And it's like this album sounds like butterflies in your stomach. And I think that is incredible. It sounds like how love feels. It's the best. It's the way I've always described this album to people, and I feel like it's the ultimate love album because of that.
I like that response. I like all of these responses. I think these if we go and rate your music and read them, I think it has way more to do with the person than the actual album.
Yeah,
That like just like what to concentrate on when there's so much going on. What to hone in? What are you like interpreting besides just the melody?
yeah. You can almost use it as like a personality test. It's
Yeah.
like it's a Rorschach thing.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
psychologist. Yeah. It's how do you see it? Because I saw it as kind of like you're going to sleep and the whole album is a dream. And you know how dreams, they have the themes of the dream and the people in the dream, but it's all mush.
Yeah.
And the themes and the people would be the melodies that are
Mhm.
like that were like this concrete thing, but then the mush of the dream is the noise.
Yeah. And people who have really bad anxiety, such as myself, or have experienced bad anxiety, they always hone in on like the overwhelmness part. The
Yeah.
or people who are really meticulous are like, wow, this album is really meticulous. You can see the meticulation here. People who are really like into dancing are like, damn, like the grooves on here, you know? Despite the
Grooves are
noise,
good.
the grooves are great. The grooves are
The grooves are
fantastic.
good. Yeah. Someone has a bit of everything too. I was thinking of because yeah, there's parts. I would say mostly it's very poppy, but like only "Shallow" is like a fucking. It's like a rock song.
Nah, there's hold on. There's
Like,
another.
and there's another one that's like this song is really grindy. I think it's "Only Said" or no.
No, what about to hear knows when?
"To Hear Knows When" reminds me of like a more ambient kind of. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost an instrumental track.
Oh no, I only said
I only said yes. That one is like
yes.
heavy. But then there's
Yeah, but I guess
there's sometimes
right.
which is like almost like a singer songwriter kind of song. If you were to strip out all the noise, it's like a it's very interpersonal song.
Which one is your favorite?
My favorite is "Soon," the last one. "Soon" is like top five favorite songs.
Soon?
"Soon," the last one.
Yeah,
Because the
actually.
dude, the bass line and like the little duet it does with like the flute or whatever the hell that
Yeah.
is like one of my favorite things in music. There you go. There's one of my favorite things in music. That bass line with the flute. Because one time I was like listening to this album very sleepy, and I have this thing where I can kind of lucid dream if I think of something. It's not really lucid dreaming because I don't control the dream, but it's like I can control what the dream is about if I
Hmm.
think of something as I go into sleep. So I was listening to this album and I was like super sleepy,
Hmm.
and I was hearing that flute bassline duet, and the way that duet like unravels, I started like seeing in my head like a DNA helix because it
Yo.
sounds like that. And then
Okay.
I started dreaming like kind of trippy like this DNA helix imagery and this like twirling dance that it does, and it's like an animation in my head. And forever now, I don't know. This song made me hallucinate. I don't know. That's mind blowing to me.
I've had that experience with this album multiple times throughout my lifetime. Um,
Yeah.
but mostly not when I'm driving, thank God. But when I listen to it in headphones on my own, like, uh, and it's crazy that this album can do both so well.
Yeah.
Like, if I were to, I don't know, put on, I can't really put on like the Blues Breakers and then just lay in my bed like and
No.
be vibing, right?
Yeah.
Like I gotta be like dancing a little bit, blasting it out in my car, maybe like putting
I'm
it
at
here.
least head bobbing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm upright for that album.
Yeah.
I was trying to see, by the way, while you were talking, I was trying to see the placement of the songs. I love seeing how albums are designed, A and B sides.
Yeah. Like
Um,
structurally.
the vinyl is so rare that on Wikipedia it is just there's no A or B side. It's just a
What?
track. It just tracks. Now, my theory is that uh I only said, well, hold up, no, because When You Sleep goes right into I only said really well.
Yeah, but "To Hear Knows When" also goes like one of my favorite transitions is "To Hear Knows When" to "When You Sleep,"
Oh,
where it
okay.
has like that little dance beat, do, 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 and then
Oh yeah,
it explodes in the "When You Sleep."
yeah. No,
Yeah,
actually, no. I only said I I theorize is the first of B-side. But I do like that the first side is like bookended by the hype songs.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It roars in and then it drifts you to sleep and then
yeah,
it wakes you up. I like oh here's another interpretation. that little that little transition between hear knows when and when you sleep. I was like, this is when you wake up in the middle of the night to like
yeah.
pee or something for like 3 minutes, but you don't remember it when you do it.
We're reaching levels of the Kubrick effect that are unreal. Critical levels of the Kubrick effect going on here.
For anyone who doesn't know what we say, we joke like in Kubrick movies, there's so many like little things placed around that we don't know if it's on purpose or if it's not on purpose. But like those little things actually have meaning that it kind of makes you go insane and you start looking at everything like it's always sunny in Philadelphia, Pepe Sylvia, like you're trying to connect all the dots.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you know, and just like Kubrick, Kevin Shields is like, you know, that guy is meticulous enough that he would pull some shit like that. So like anything is fair game.
Yeah, but it's also like who knows what he was trying to convey here.
Yeah. God
Like
knows.
who knows what he was in his brain specifically and the rest of the band's brain of what they
Yeah.
were trying to make here. But I love that the album is so inspirational to people that everybody has their little theory on what Loveless is. It's just like it's this beautiful immaterial thing that can be shaped into however you see it shaped. It's a cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, if someone listens to this record, and I really like it, what else should me, should listen to?
Guess what, Lewis?
What?
I got the whole Flowchart on the internet.
Nah. Yeah.
The whole Flowchart. Are you ready for this?
I gotta start making flowchart. I gotta step up my game. Is this like this? This?
I didn't make this Flowchart.
Oh, I have this on my
You've seen this
phone.
before,
I
right? You've seen this before,
yes.
right? But I do think it's pretty legit.
Yeah.
This is the Shoegaze Flowchart in general, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just Loveless, but it does like you start here at Loveless. So for sure, if you like Loveless, listen to Souvlaki by Slow Dive.
Yes.
Okay. How would you describe like the differences of Slovaki? It's a little bit more like alternative,
So
less dreamy.
up top you have the tradition of the noise rock. That's where this is coming
Yes.
from. The tradition of the
Yes.
noise rock and the tradition of the electronic. Then
Yeah.
to the green, you have the tradition of the post punk, the tradition
Yes.
of goth rock, and
Yes.
that sort of environment. And then to the all the way to there,
Right.
I guess like pop rock or just like there. Well, I don't want to say alternative rock because alternative rock is a huge um
I was
a
gonna say alternative rock was more ride.
yeah, but like this a very specific kind of alternative rock called college rock. It's not really like that's what I
Yeah.
know it of as, which is like okay, you if you think college rock, just think REM, like that sound, like that sound
Yes.
that became super popular amongst the guys who would later go on to make the '90s what they were.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
And so
So
yeah, no, if there's a lot of good stuff on this flowchart. I've gone through this
this will be
flowchart.
in the description.
Yes.
So from what we've seen here, I would recommend LSD and the Search for God. This album is great. If you like the noise,
100%.
if you like the noise for sure.
If you love that, like, sort of like, if you love your shoegaze not sounding like, okay, what I mean is like, My Bloody Valentine, while there is a bunch of guitars in it, they're not played like guitars, and you have no idea how they're played. LSD and the Search for God does that really well. Brian Jonestown Massacre, that album, fantastic as well. Um,
Yes.
if you go
That one's a bit
more,
more poppy. I would say, right?
Yeah, and it's a bit more like rockish.
Yeah.
Here once again you have all your metal stuff that you can
Over here.
explore that. Yeah, and like it just
Yeah.
turns in noise.
If you like the darker, like you want a more dark vibe, have a nice life.
Hold up, I gotta zoom in because I can't read it. Oh,
Yeah, have a
Crush
nice
for
life.
sure. Actually, go down.
Hmm?
That Chiron is
Chiron?
yeah, that one is super, super, super slept on. Um,
Yeah,
and
this one here is spiritualized. Um, Definitely, it says more spacey. Yes, if you want more like a spacey kind of somewhat psychedelic take on it, spiritualized.
and
There you go.
right beneath it, you have Flying Saucer Attack. And
Yeah,
Flying Saucer Attack is like top five fuzziest records ever made. Like it sounds like a wool blanket, and I mean that in the best way possible. It's like a wool blanket from outer space. It's
yeah,
it's fantastic. Um, there's I'd recommend most of these records, but those are the ones that stick out to me the most.
yeah. If you like the pop and not
Oh,
so much the
Cocktail
rock,
Twins.
Cocteau Twins
If you like the female vocals on this
on
record,
Loveless.
that you
Yeah,
have to, you have to listen to Cocktail Twins.
very beautiful. Um, Deer Hunter also good, more indie for sure.
Yeah.
But
Um.
yeah, I would if
Yeah.
you're
No, like
listening,
just
I
go.
would just go start here,
Yeah,
go
dude. Like
crazy. Definitely listen to Slow Dive. I
there's
think number one recommendation is Slow Dive is so good. It's like the number two shoegaze album in my heart.
I completely missed the Cocktail Twins down there. But yeah, please listen to Heaven or Las Vegas. In fact, like I'm even tempted to make an episode on just that album.
It's pretty good.
It's
It's
pretty
really
fucking
good.
good. And it's a great introduction to dream pop.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah. So any thoughts on Loveless? Man,
Um, lots, but like we would be here all day.
we would be here. It's just one of those albums that is just it's been so integral to me. It is really in like my top five. I really don't think any album has made me feel as much as Loveless. And I do think there's one thing I wanted to talk about. I do think the way the melodies are written sound like feelings.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Like the emotional physicality of some of these melodies, like just they just hit me and put shivers down my spine, and it's almost like you're replicating a feeling that. How do you do that? And that's what I look for in music, really, or any art. If you can make me feel like you can be provocative enough to make me feel really unique feelings or really like accurate feelings. I think that is like peak art in general.
I hearing that, I wouldn't say that that's unique to this album. That is the
Yeah.
mark of a fantastic melody. And,
Yes.
and in that point, I'd agree with you. And even going back to going back to Blues Breakers, when I was listening to the blues records that inspired them, and especially the much more lo-fi, just one dude and his guitar sort of records, like they're not even like the lyrics aren't even that impressive. Uh,
Yeah.
but they say it with such feel, with
Ooh,
such
yeah.
and not just that, it's like they're manipulating the melody in real time to produce these like feelings. So they'll sing the same exact phrase like multiple times in a song and make it feel brand new every time. Make it feel because they're playing around with the melody. So it's like that they're trying out all these emotional emphasis and I don't know. I think that's also like one of those things that stand out of like a good melody.
And I really think that's like the most. I would say I think that is the most important skill in songwriting,
Melody
like hands
making?
down. Just your ability to write melodies. I feel like there's so many songs that if it can be just carried on having such an incredible melody.
Yeah.
And it's something that's like you can't. It's just like it's art. It's not easily replicable.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
And I think Loveless is masterful as melody writing. It's Kevin Shields.
God bless.
He knew. God bless. And I would really focus on that. And if you want to make shoegaze too, please focus on that too. Do not focus on the texture so much.
Please, 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 just remember, these are songs that people are listening to get an emotion out of, not to hear how crazy your setup is. It could be the craziest setup in the world. And I promise you there are other guitarists that will come to your shows and be like, damn, you got a killer sound.
This is a $2,000 pedal board. Jesus Christ.
Like, I've seen some crazy setups from both good and bad shoegaze. But the ones that I am going to listen to the records are the ones that I was like, oh, I'm singing along to the songs later today.
I think about it like this, like what is going to get stuck in your head? The noise or the melody? What are you going to keep with you after you listen to it? Melody, right?
Mm-hmm.
All day I get I get that stuck in my head all day from Loveless. But that's what I'm saying. And yeah, any closing thoughts, Lewis?
God bless the Irish people and their music. God bless the British people and their music.
we are dick riding the UK a lot. But you know what? I don't know what to say. I don't know. They keep making good music. I mean,
I was gonna say we're gonna try to review something else next time, but we have more Clapton, so stick around.
Yeah. So I guess we could segue into our mystery segment, our final mystery segment. So we at the Broward Exchange want to uphold a new thing we're gonna do at the end of all these album roundabouts. We are gonna build a tier list of all the albums we've reviewed. So I'm gonna go over here and bring this up. So this is the tier list we've crafted. So one of the things is that any album we bring here, we already like. We're not going to really talk about albums we don't like because, we got to talk about it for an hour.
Yeah.
And so the bottom is pretty good. Like no matter what.
There are albums I hate enough that I can talk about for an hour, but this is a positive podcast.
We have love.
You have Fantano to roast whatever the fuck you don't like, all right?
Yeah, we're full of love.
We are here to show you good music, like to bring you good music that you might not have checked out. I don't think we're ever going to bring up something that you've never heard of before, but definitely just something that's like, oh, that does sound like an interesting concept. Like, that's the goal of this.
Honestly, what we wanted to do with this podcast was for us to passionately talk about albums we like so other people who passionately like these albums can listen to our conversation and just have an hour in their day where they can be like, yeah, I love that album too. Yeah, for those reasons too. Oh my God, the album's so good. And then just like, it makes you love the album more. It's like a surrogate conversation that you would have with two people who like the album, who like an album a lot.
And if you guys have any thoughts or you guys like these albums for completely different reasons or maybe something I didn't get to, leave comments. Let us know. Yeah. I'm willing to extend this conversation to a much bigger circle,
Yeah. It's really, this is a show about love. So let's start. Should we go this episode first or should we do our first episode and rate those?
Let's do this episode first. Let's show the people how it's done.
Okay. Loveless.
No discussion. No vote, no question. Yes, actually.
Yeah, I would say this changed my life. I think when I said earlier that I look for albums that make me feel something unique and can bring a sort of a viscosity of feeling to me. I think Loveless is the album that showed me that I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that or Neutral Milk Hotel. One of those two were like very early albums I listened to when I was like a teenager. Showed me that.
Hmm.
So life changing.
Well, life changing.
Life changing. All right. Blues Breakers.
I'm at classic status.
Classic. I'm at great.
You're a great. Okay.
Classic status great.
Hold on,
Yeah.
hold on, hold on. Rock, paper, scissors, shoe.
Okay, okay, well, hold on. Let me go.
Okay.
Okay. That was not the best way to do rock, paper, scissors.
Do you want to do it again?
Wait, all right, all right. Okay, we got to just discuss it. My thing is, I feel like the classic status achieved is going to go more towards the other Clapton albums. But this one is the progenitor. So it's still great. You know what I mean?
Mmm. Mmm.
You know what I mean? Like
I
this
do know
is
what you mean, because, like, it is just going to be
like
populated.
this really gears I would put here. But I would put this one here. You see what I mean?
This really gears is, like, perma rotation for me, dude.
Ooh.
That's why,
Okay.
that's why I'll, like,
I see. Yeah.
like
You like
classic, yeah. But, okay, I'm gonna allow great, because it leaves more room for greatness.
it. Okay. We can always shift them around.
Okay.
You know, we'll see. It's never.
Okay.
We're gonna build this through a long time. All
Yeah.
right. Then let's go back. Previous episode, which was Quemini Megadeth. Let's do a Quemini. I
A
think classic status for Quemini.
classic status for a Clementine. I could see it. Yeah. I'm gonna leave it a classic.
I believe, yeah, leave it classic. Like for me, a little secret for you guys. Even though we did a Quemini, I low key like AT Aliens a little more.
I
I would put it AT Aliens on perma rotation.
I
Ooh.
also like AT Aliens more, but this one did more for the culture.
Yeah, it did more for the culture, which is why I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Quemini there. Megadeth.
Perma rotation for me. I'm
Or
sorry.
yeah, right. For when it for
Like
its little class for thrash, it's like come on, it's the perma
it's
rotation for
for
thrash
me,
metal.
I listen to that at least once a month, and every single time I listen to it, I'm like, God damn.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's been that way since
It's
I was like 14, 15. So like that's not gonna
like
change.
I like a perma rotation where it's like I don't know how you listen to music, but I do Spotify autoplay a lot,
Mhm.
where I will pick a song and then let the autoplay take over. But the autoplay is usually going to play what I like. So I feel like with stuff like Megadeth, let's say I was to pick any thrash song, Spotify itself will put the Megadeth in the perma rotation. Yeah, but
I no, I just put on records all the time. Like I don't really listen to individual stuff unless like I'm like 10 minutes, 15 minutes out from home. And I'm like, fuck it,
mm,
dude. I don't want to like pick another album. Just like
yeah, you
play
don't
one
have
of my
time for an album.
yeah, and so I always think of it pretty concretely. And permutation is like no matter what type of research I'm doing or what type of like rabbit hole I'm discovering, I'll just be like, you know what? I should put this on again.
Yeah, because it's just like it's just good. Like it's just you know it. It's like when you're a kid and you go on a roller coaster ride, and the first thing you do when you get off that roller coaster ride is go right back onto the line and do it again.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how I was with Megadeth when I was 15. I was like, this is crazy.
yeah. All right, next one. Third. This one's a toughie
This one,
because it's really good,
it's really
but
good, but it's not for
it's not
all the
something.
vibes.
Yeah, it's not something you can just play. It's
I
not like you wouldn't perma rotate it, but it is super good.
I think it's classic status.
Yeah, like it's not. But is that a part of the list? Like, does it need to be listenable? Which is weird to say out loud because it's music, but like
And
easily listenable.
well, it's not easily listenable. I think this has way more to do with like what role does it take in my life? You
Mm.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like once it, like classifying Megadeth better than Soft Machine is kind of weird because Soft Machine is way more inventive, has arguably more virtuosity, at least in their improvisational
Yeah.
aspect, and definitely way more like it's trying new things, so it should be given some grace. But 4 out of 5 times, I'm gonna pick Rust in Peace to listen to over third.
Y- Yeah, yeah. So there is a like a level of listenability to it. But you know what? I don't really hate that because it's music at the end of the day. And yeah, you can write something crazy, but it's got to be like I don't know. I don't frown. I'm not like pretentious. I don't frown upon accessibility.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
I
know?
don't. I definitely. I'm over that shit.
Yeah.
I'm over that shit. There's gonna be times where we cover classical pieces that I'm just gonna put in great and be like, yeah, no, it is is like a Clemini does more for me than Beethoven. That's fine, you know.
Yeah. Like like I'm not that crazy about it. But we'll talk about this topic more when we get to the one of the last ones. But mezzanine.
Mezzanine is great for me.
I want to put it here, but I know we both got to agree on it. I don't know if it's in your perma rotation.
It's not.
Nah,
I'm,
right?
I've liked it and I learned quite a bit, but I'll be honest with you, Nick. I've maybe listened to it once since the podcast.
Yeah, also it's not like it's I like to call it's a very nighttime album, so I can't just like, oh, I'm gonna go do some groceries. Let's play some mezzanine, you know?
Yeah, and it didn't like change my world.
Yeah, all right, I'll put it class. But it did a lot for the culture, so we put it there.
Yes.
Although I don't want classic status of cheese to be too stacked, but that might just be what happens. I mean, it's average, right? See?
Yeah.
Okay. So then here's where we go into what I was saying earlier about listenability.
No, that's life changing. Easy. Easy.
Exactly, right?
Easy.
I know we're contradicting ourselves about the listenability aspect of it. 'Cause
Nah, I
lift
could
your
put that shit
sneakers.
on. No, for me, dude, like you put out that first track, and I'm like, I'm here.
just,
I- I'm,
just casually listen to Lift Your Skinny Fist.
dude, I'm gonna drive an extra half an hour just to finish the album.
I guess if the album is that good, that insane.
It's not about listenability. It's like, what does it do for you when you
Yeah,
do listen to it? And it's not nearly as accessible as Loveless or Megadeth or any other of those records, quite
yeah.
frankly. But like for me, like it changed my life. Like listening to that shit, like I thought about music differently.
Yes, it is revolutionized the way you perceive what music is and
What it
what
can
even
do.
sound.
Yeah.
So yeah, what sound is like. But yeah, life changing for sure.
Yeah.
And finally, um,
Is this in your
this is like
purple
the same with
rotation?
Mezzanine. This is for me, like for indie rock. This is my favorite indie rock album ever.
You know what? It did move me quite a bit. Per rotation it is. I
Yeah,
do
like
have to listen to it. It's just like one of those records I for I don't listen to it enough.
yeah, but also it is kind of like it's really moving. So you don't want to play it all the time, but because of that, I love it. Like I know what I'm like if I want to feel funeral.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like it's there.
Dude, I kind of want to do this with like 50 more albums now, but
Oh, we gotta keep
we
doing the podcast.
we got to keep on doing
We're
podcasts.
gonna slowly build it. But yeah, I think that would end this episode.
Yeah. Thank you guys for
Alrighty.
listening. If
Yep.
you have any um if you have any album requests, you can put them down in the comments. We won't do them, but you can put them. You can, like we'll read them.
We'll look at them. We'll
Uh
consider them.
if they're really bad, we will let you know.
Yeah. But trust me, we got a whole list of albums to do. I don't know, we could do this forever essentially. Like I'm envisioning this tier list of being stacked
Like
at some point.
huge at some point.
Humongozoid, the Broward Exchange tier list. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for everyone for making it this far. If you enjoy, subscribe. If you have any suggestions, comment below. And welcome to the Broward Exchange. See y'all next time. Bye bye.